Hi, Mom. After our talk today about Nepal and what to bring as far as medical gear, I was cleaning out my gear lockers, getting ready for the move, and I found my Everest Medical Kit. And I thought it might be helpful to go through some of the stuff. It might give you some ideas of stuff to talk with your doctor about and stuff to pick up. So this is what I used. It's about a foot by 4 inches by about 3 inches deep. Weighs about 5 pounds. In this, I probably had enough equipment for two people, and that'll be something that you and your partner are going to want to work out on who's going to bring what. Some stuff it's important to have your own of, and some stuff it would obviously be fine for team gear. So first things first, a Leatherman or tool of some sort is going to be useful. Obviously, both for repair of gear and for cutting things that you might need to treat different things. I highly recommend this book, which I'll hold back a copy of. In fact, you can have this copy, Wilderness Travel and Medicine. It's Manasulu on the cover, just FYI. One of the best things is in the back. They've got a appendix of antibiotics, and that'll be helpful for a lot of the stuff that you end up working with out there. Interestingly, you'll be using a lot of the antibiotics for off-label kind of things, because what you find is that a lot of the things you're going to see out there are going to be resistant to the primary drugs that treat them. So, for example, Cipro, generally associated with GI tract problems, but most of the GI bugs have become resistant to Cipro, so oftentimes you'll treat that with something different like a Z-Pak, which is generally associated with respiratory things. So we'll walk through some of that stuff. So as we go through this, what was kind of my philosophy? One was to have all the drugs in there that I could need or want and probably wouldn't be able to pick up on the trail, at least at some of the smaller towns. Namche Bazaar, you'll be able to get everything. You can get seen by a doctor. It's a really good place to pick up anything you need. But you start getting a little bit further afield, it's hard to pick those things up. And it could be a day or two walk, and you don't want to be suffering for all of that. In addition, as far as wound treatment, if you get a cut or an abrasion or whatever, the biggest thing is going to be trying to clean that and sterilize it and get some sort of sterile something onto that. And then from there, you can slap a ace bandage on it or whatever. But the thing that you're going to want that you're not going to have is sterile equipment. So those are kind of where we focused. And then a balance between the catastrophic and the likely. So unfortunately, this is going to be in no particular order. Okay, I'm going to tilt the screen down for a moment just so you can kind of see the magnitude of what we're working with here. So that doesn't quite do it justice, but it's a lot of little things, and I'll try and go through them one by one. So while I have your best attention span, let's go through some of the drugs. So generally, I'm going to carry all of my drugs in a device like this because I don't need to carry a whole bottle of them, and something like this gives me a good way to access them all without carrying a ton of weight. So some things that were specific to Everest: dexamethasone, you're not going to need that. Norepinephrine, you're not going to need that. Sorry, I misspoke. You won't need Dex, you won't need Nip, but you will need Diamox, or you may feel more comfortable with Diamox. Next down is ibuprofen 800, just to kind of keep you going. I would have salt tablets in this in the blue. The green is a daily multivitamin. I think the red is yet more ibuprofen. Okay, walking through some of the drugs. I'd let you have these drugs, except they're all expired by now. So, first and most importantly, if I can find it, is the Z-Pack. These come in two flavors. I think you've got, this is a three dose version. If you can find the 5-dose version, I'd recommend taking that. In the field, we take this off label a little bit, where we'll take 2 pills right away, so 1,000 milligrams, and then you'll follow up with a third. If you have the 5-pill version of this, it's a little bit more effective because you can take it for another 2 days. The Z-Pack generally associated with respiratory things, but we took it a little bit off label, if you will, to treat a lot of GI issues. That's what got us through that kind of bad GI section. In here somewhere is Cipro, and it's a really common GI drug, and it's good to have with you on the field. Some of the stuff we ended up picking up in country that was helpful is we think we picked up a protozoal, in other words, a parasite. So I've got 2 anti-protozoal tablets. They're in Indian, so let me see if I can get you a name for these. They're called GAT 1000. Here we go. Tindazole. Tinidazole. 1,000 milligrams. This is what they gave us in Nepal, and we took a whole cocktail of drugs to beat the GI stuff. So it's hard to know which one actually turned the tide. I think it was this. It's called Metronidazole. There you go. Metronidazole. Metronidazole. With that, I'll win the spelling bee. This was 1 a day, and again, it was part of the cocktail of things we took to beat some GI problems. Moving down from prescription stuff to non-prescription stuff that you're going to want to have a good anti-diarrheal, whatever your choice is. I'm a big fan of Sudafed. I find that I end up with just runny noses and things like that. It provides some comfort, and then the caffeine provides a little bit of a kick. Benadryl, sometimes you will find that you will have something that is giving you what appears to be an allergic reaction, and it's helpful to have on hand. These are pretty important. These are Cepacol cough drops. What you may find is that the altitude and the dryness of Nepal will start to give you a cough. If you let that cough go and go and go, it's only going to get worse. It may eventually ruin your trip. So having some real high-grade cough drops is going to be important to you. It won't be as much of a factor for you coming from Colorado. Okay. In that same vein, this is a Add Air inhaler, and that will may also help with kumbu cough. I didn't think it was great, but some people have some luck with it. Okay, and that's about it for drugs. Some other stuff worth talking about is if you have a good relationship with your doctor and it's something he's comfortable prescribing you, your prescription narcotic, let's just say it, of choice is, if you can get a few doses of that, might be important. Why is that important? So if you get injured or you get really sick or just coming off the plane in Kathmandu, it's nice to have. The good thing about some of the narcotics is that in addition to being pain relieving, they can also be pretty calming. And so that day off the plane in Kathmandu where you just hurt, but you're on a weird time zone and you're a little stressed out, both the pain relieving effects and the calming effects end up being pretty useful a couple of times in the trip. Take that as you will. Okay, some more mundane stuff. Whatever your anti-upset stomach of choices, Tums, easy to chew on the trail. About this much Vaseline. Lip balm to prevent and to fix. Okay. Now let's talk about wound and wound care. So leave all the Band-Aids at home. You're not going to need any of those. They're just going to take up space. What I would recommend is taking a few things like these. So this is a single. Let's see if I can get some light to work here. Oof, that's terrible. Well, I apologize for the lighting, but this is a single-use antibiotic ointment. Having maybe 2 dozen of these, maybe a dozen of these between the two of you will be good. I prefer new skin. Stings a lot, but it's a lot easier, but forms a lasting barrier, and it's good on fingers and toes and things that move that Band-Aids will cause you either blisters or just won't stay on. Moving up to the more serious things, you've a Benzodine sticks. This is a single-use stick of benzoin. And this is good for slightly larger cuts, deeper cuts, or if you have to really do some work on something. So you probably only need 1 or 2 of these. This is for, I bring 1 of these, and it's for, burns and bad stuff. But it's worth having. Okay. This is a sterile strip. 4 or 5 of these would probably be fine, along with a gauze pad and just some tape. So all you're trying to do here is get the wound cleaned and then covered. And you're probably not going to face a lot of wound care, but you'll definitely face some. And being able to keep that clean is going to be really important. Speaking of wound care, hopefully you won't need it, but we actually ended up using more of these than we would expect. So this is just a single-use blue glove, and you probably don't need it, but if you end up treating each other, it's nice to have. And some gauze here. Okay, so let's talk about ways to so let's talk about blisters first. So nobody uses moleskin anymore. Just all the moleskin you got, just give it away. Don't give it away because you don't want to inflict it on anyone else. Just nobody uses it. What people use now is these are not a great version of them, but these are I guess what they call it, healing bandages. You can also find these that are specific for blister care, and that's what you're looking for. They're single use, kind of like this. They're dual purpose, so you can use these to treat a cut, which is nice, so you only have to carry one thing. And then the ones that are specific for blisters, they're really strongly adhesive, and they do a much better job than moleskin of getting over the top of a blister, keeping it from getting worse, and providing some relief. Okay. And we talked a lot from from waterborne. So this is my this is what I use. So it's iodine and then a vitamin C to neutralize some of the taste. I usually do this is I mix it up in an Nalgene bottle, and then I will add the vitamin C to make it taste better, and then I'll dump that into my backpack bladder, which is usually just how I drink while I'm on the trail. It's something that's got to be done methodically. You've got to stick to your time. You've got to stick to your times, and when you start to get and when those start to break down, it's when you're going to get sick. Also, hand washing gel, alcohol wipes before every meal, after every time you use the bathroom, and then really just kind of continuously through the day, because you're going to touch your nose, you're going to touch your eyes, you're going to keep touching various parts of yourself, and it's another way that you can get sick. Lastly, a knee brace and a SAM splint. So this one is still in plastic, though as I break it out and show you the multitude of uses that you can do this. This is kind of a, if you're breaking this out, your trip's over, but there's nothing like it for really treating things that are wrong. So this is good for any kind of break, fracture, major kind of thing. This will serve as a splint. You take this and tape, or this and a shirt. You can rig up any kind of sling that you could possibly need. And this kit kind of gives you the ability to even treat some of the most dramatic of injuries, like a compound fracture. You've got the splint. You've got this to use as either a brace or to cover it, and then you've got iodine and gloves and everything you could possibly need to treat a major injury. But what you're really putting your time and effort in is not getting sick in the first place, and then being able to treat, recover, and press on from just the little things that are going to happen here or there. We find that we don't use much quantity for any of the gauze, tourniquet, etc., but we used a lot more of the antibiotics than you would necessarily expect. So that's kind of where I'd favor my time. Moving off of medicine to some other things that I was just thinking of is you can't really overvalue comfort. It seems petty, but the more comfortable you are at night getting rest, or the more comfortable you are on the bus getting to these places, or just in general, the harder you're going to be able to hike, the more fun you're going to have, just the better time all around. You actually manage to ruin one of these trips by just not being able to sleep at night. So some things that jumped out at me, little things that you can buy and I just have kind of on your person in your kind of day pack. A clip fan, something you can clip onto the side of the bus that you're in, and it can blow some cool air on you. Worth your weight in gold. Noise canceling headphones. I know you've got a pair, and I would definitely bring them. Both in Kathmandu, they're very nice to have. You might even consider bringing them on the trail. Sometimes the huts can be a little noisy, but really just a pair of cranial earphones will probably work fine when you're on the trail, because you're going to need the ability to just separate yourself from whatever's going on and just chill out, listen to whatever, and relax. I would get I'd go ahead and bring your iPhone. And that's something you can use in Kathmandu. You can use the wireless. It's nice. Wireless is really easy to get, but internet use at a desktop is really expensive. So it's nice to have your phone. Nice to have your phone to text or send emails or whatever. But on the trail itself, I'd get an iPod. I don't like the mini because they shuffle and I can't unshuffle them. But having the really slender one that are actually kind of hard to find these days that has 18 hours of battery life, that's really where you're going to want to be. You can leave that phone at home. You have more access to electricity than maybe you expect. So it was really not a problem to charge that thing every night. I'll leave all this stuff with Kelly, so if you come by in August, you can pick up some of it, and you can definitely have the SAM splint. We've got a couple. I think you guys are gonna have a great time on the trip. This is all the negative stuff, but I think it's gonna be awesome. You guys are gonna have a great time, and hit me up with any more questions. And with that, I have to pack some more. Take care. Bye.